Hi, this is Harrison Page. You're listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that we will replay our conversation with game show legend Jim McCrell beginning at the top of the hour. You have to stay tuned for that. In the meantime, Tony Figueroa and Donna Allen are with us, along with our guest, Hank Garrett. Hank Garrett, the actor known around the world as Officer Nicholson on Car 54, Where Are You? And a man who's worked with such legends as Tony Bennett, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Sophia Loren, Peter Falk, James Earl Jones, many, many others. Hank's memoir, From Harlem Hoodlum to Hollywood Heavyweight, available wherever books are sold through Britain Publishing. You can also find it at Amazon.com, where books are sold online. You can follow Hank Garrett on Facebook. Tony?
Do you ever get back to the old neighborhood?
Yeah, I was there. I can't remember exactly when, but yes, went through and looked around and went, wow, this is where I'm from. Whoa! And how did I survive?
Donna and I got to spend a week in Harlem, and our place was very close to a Whole Foods and a Starbucks. And when we were at this conference, people would ask, so where are you staying? And we'd say Harlem, and whereabouts? And we'd say, it's not far from the Whole Foods. And everybody would stare at us going, there's a Whole Foods in Harlem?
Exactly. What we had on 111th Street, there was a girls' school, Draper Junior High School, the schoolyard, the building I grew up in, 108 East 111th Street, and a couple of other apartment houses on the block. On the corner of 111th and Lexington used to be a Hebrew school that became a Catholic school. So, and boy, so much went on in that schoolyard. A lot of gambling, dice games. We would watch, when I was a kid, the big guys were shooting dice in the schoolyard. And every once in a while, one of the winners would give us kids a couple of bucks. And as soon as I got home and I showed my mother and father, and my first thing my father said, where did you get this money? I said, one of the guys, the big guys, gave it to me. You give it back to me. And I said, why? He said, I don't want you touching any money that he gave you. Guy who had a notorious background. And later on, years later, here I am opening at the Copacabana in New York with Tony Bennett as the star, and guys from my old neighborhood were piling into the Copacabana. And the owner of the Copa, Jules Podell, looked at me and said, you know these hoodlums? I said, yeah. He said, have I made a mistake in hiring you here? I said, no, Mr. Podell, I had nothing to do with them. He said, they sure didn't act like you didn't have anything to do with them. But all the guys that came were really huge tippers. So that the waiters and waitresses came over to me and said, are your friends coming back? I said, if they're not locked up, yes, they'll be back again.
What was it like to work with Tony Bennett?
Oh, he was amazing. The management said to me, you're only going to do 15 minutes because Tony is doing X amount of time. And I said, 15 minutes? That's it? Tony said, Hank, do as much time as you want. I'll cut off of my act to make room for your act.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a generous performer.
Yeah, he was, wow, what an amazing, amazing performer. And everybody came from all over to see Tony Bennett.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
Hi, this is Charlotte Ray, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
I'm from New York, of course. I went to Dewitt Clinton High School. I was raised in Harlem, 111th between Park and Lexington. Well, there are a few of us here, but I got to tell you, I'm still having trouble adjusting to California. Explain why. Because I remember as a kid, the family was really family-oriented. A typical morning, my grandmother and my grandfather would get up, my mother and father, my Uncle Charlie, my Aunt Rose, my cousin Seymour, my cousin Ruthie, my brother Saul, my brother Murray. And before I knew it, I had that whole bed to myself.
From Harlem hoodlum to Hollywood heavyweight, Hank Garrett's memoir available wherever books are sold through Britain Publishing. You can also find it Amazon.com, wherever books are sold online. You can follow Hank Garrett on Facebook. Got to ask you two questions. What was it like to work with Sophia Loren? And what were the circumstances that led you to escort Audrey Hepburn one night?
Oh, my God. Sophia. What a woman. In fact, we wound up doing in the British West Indies. I'm playing a bad guy for a change. And I've got my boss, who was a big mob guy. Sophia was his girlfriend. He sends me to get her. I walk in and I say to her, Joe wants to see you. She says, no, you tell Joe to wait. And I grab her arm and I said, nobody tells Joe to wait. And I grabbed her very gently, and she said, Hank, you got to pull me, grab me. And I said, Miss Loren, I don't want to grab your arm. She said, Hank, you're not going to hurt me, and if you don't really grab me, it's going to ruin the scene. So I grab her, yank her, and throw her in the car. And as I'm standing outside the car, I forgot who it was. He's supposed to run up behind me, grab my hair. Yes, thank you. My wife just reminded me. It was O.J. Simpson. He's supposed to just put his hand on the back of my head, and I will do the bang against the side of the car. He goes and grabs my hair and slammed it into the door, the open door, and cuts the top of my forehead open. And down I go. Well, my then wife, they ran to get her because I'm lying out there bleeding. And she comes running out, and I'm in Sophia Loren's lap. She's got a towel, and she's blotting the blood, and she says, "Oh, my poor dear, oh, my poor dear." And my wife turned around, didn't say a word, ran to the hotel, packed, and left. You know, I'm thinking, does she think that Sophia and I are having an event? And we soon were divorced.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Sophia was fantastic. She actually got there and was blotting the blood on my forehead and saying and rocking me, saying, "Oh, my poor dear, my poor dear."
Well, and plus the fact that she, as an actor, trusted that going back to the earlier part of the story, she trusted that you would grab her in such a way that would make it look real and authentic on the screen without actually hurting her.
Exactly.
That says a lot about who she was as a person and as a performer.
I learned so much about performing from people like Sophia Loren.
Mm-hmm.
Working with these amazing names, I learned from each and every one of them. Wow.
Tell us the story of how you came to escort Audrey Hepburn one night at a Hollywood event.
I was chosen to escort Audrey Hepburn. She needed someone to go with her to this event. And so the agent said, "You have a suit, a good-looking suit?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, you're going to escort Audrey Hepburn. And I said, are you speaking to me? He said, "Yes." He said, "Audrey saw your picture." And she said, "Oh, he looks like he's a gentleman, a nice guy, and he's big. He's, I was a power lifter."
Mm-hmm.
And walked in, and I had to escort her. And we just had sitting at the table and just had a wonderful time. You know, and I'm saying, "Oh, my God, Audrey Hepburn." And she said, evidently heard me. She said, "Yes, I'm Audrey Hepburn." I said, "I used to be."
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Tony and Donna, is there anything else you would like to ask or say to Hank before we wrap?
What would you say is the secret to your longevity, not just your long life, but also a long career? Because your career has expanded, it's gone over several decades, and not everybody has been as fortunate.
I never put anyone down. I never gave a director a hard time about playing a part. I'm very much into health, supplementation. I don't booze. I don't smoke. And I'm very respectful of all the people I work with, regardless of the role they're playing or who they are. I pay homage when homage is due. And that's about it, I guess.
Wise words, sir.
And Audrey Hepburn was right. You are a gentleman and just a nice guy.
Well, thank you.
And I would add, Hank, you never forgot where you came from. And
no, never will.
And again, I think that's one of the things that fueled you as a performer. And I think a lot of the people that you had a chance to work with, they recognized that in you, and that's why you kept getting hired.
I've been very fortunate. I've had the opportunity to work with some of the most amazing people in the world. And I never forgot that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I hope we'll have a chance to chat with you again later this year on TV Confidential.
I would appreciate that, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do the show.
From Harlem hoodlum to Hollywood heavyweight, the story of Hank Garrett's life and career, available wherever books are sold through Britain Publishing. You can also find it at Amazon.com, where books are sold online. You can follow Hank Garrett on Facebook. You can enjoy Tony Figueroa's standalone podcast This Week in TV History, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find audio. The next edition of TV Confidential will premiere next week on this station at the usual time. We will welcome back actress and director Michelle Danner. Plus, we'll welcome Laurel and Hardy historian Randy Skretbit. A reminder that From Harlem Hoodlum to Hollywood Heavyweight by Hank Garrett is available wherever books are sold through Britain Publishing. You can also find it at Amazon.com, where books are sold online. You can follow Hank Garrett on Facebook. Also a reminder that Kindred Spirits, a Titanic Tale by Nelson Aspin, available wherever books are sold through Red Sky Presents, as well as Amazon.com. Nelson's podcast, Titanic Talk, available wherever you find podcasts. You can follow Nelson Aspin on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, as well as NelsonAspin.com for more information on the Titanic Anniversary Weekend commemoration aboard the RMS Queen Mary in Long Beach, California, April 12th, 13th, and 14th. Go to TitanicWeekend.com, TitanicWeekend.com. Ed Robertson, Dr. Tony Figueroa, Donna Allen, Phil Grice, and Susan Silver. Thank you so much for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time on TV Confidential.